This movie wants so bad to be taken seriously and to seem like it's saying something, but the story, it jumps so many fucking sharks, like all the sharks, that it's impossible to take it seriously. So I started to enjoy it towards the end because it's just a bloody revenge fantasy. I didn't feel good about myself, but I mean, that's the level I can enjoy it at, is that it's a bloody revenge fantasy. It's like, as a person who was bullied in high school, it's like, yes, I want to see the jocks, get shot. And I don't know.
I have to agree. Wait. This is your quarter on the table?
That's it.
That's like 15 cents.
Oh, okay. I got more. Oh, wait a minute. There's a second paragraph.
Oh, okay.
So I did enjoy it on that level, and there was some nifty camera work, and the home invasion set piece was particularly well done. Really good.
Yes.
The camera moving back and forth to all the windows of the house.
That is the first time this movie earns its camera movement.
Yeah. What did it remind you of, John?
What did it remind you of?
The opening scene of our screenplay.
Also, Panic Room.
Oh, no, I didn't think of that. I thought it was Spring Breakers.
It was all shot through windows, and it was the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, it was the best scene in this movie, that's for sure.
Kind of Black Christmas.
That's true. I'll give you that. It's the best scene in that
Black
movie.
Christmas. Right. Yeah.
Also, there's a.
I have seen that.
They also do it. There's a really great scene in, I think it's the Fargo TV show, that they do that as well.
Yeah.
It's like someone goes in and it's like a murder, but they stay outside and you just see.
I love that stuff.
So I was just going to say, this is superficially reminiscent of Spring Breakers, which we just saw, but that movie is so much better than
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's a strange thing to say, isn't it?
Well, this movie and the other movie run into a problem, which is a lot of this movie takes place with people texting each other, and that's not visually interesting. Doesn't matter how much you put it on screen. It doesn't matter what you do to fuck around with it. It just is not visually interesting. And the movie tries to make things visually interesting that aren't. And until it gets to that scene and this scene, I don't think it does a good job of it. Like, I think most of the time I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this camera upside down? Who am I looking at? Why are all these girls interchangeable? Like,
I kept wondering why one of the girls was a guy.
There was that one character. I think that
Bex. I think Bex is probably the best character in the movie.
Well, but
best actor, anyway.
But she's also a stereotype, the kind of the know-it-all feminist who was above all things.
Well,
they gave her the super annoying nickname Bex. I hate screenwriter names sometimes. It's like Bex and Cat. It just doesn't. You can tell when
there's a lot of cats in movies.
Yeah, you can tell the screenwriter's thinking too hard to be cool.
Okay,
you know
stop
what I mean?
with the K.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Hey.
Also, Bex
I've had
is
that since fourth grade. Fuck you.
Bex is the
trans. Nickname for Rebecca.
But Bex is the transgender,
Rebecca,
so maybe that's, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
That might have been a name.
You get to pick your own name. It's one of the cool things about being trans.
And I guess if you're picking your own name, if you're picking your own name in high school, you're probably going to pick something pretentious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Good point.
Or something that sounds like sex.
KOT is the way you spell your name. That's
something that sounds like sex.
Anyway,
I think
someone who's never
what
needed
do you
or
think
wanted
this
a
film
nickname.
jumped the shark?
Okay, well, I think
The first time the camera goes upside
it
down.
tried to jump the shark, but it kept tripping over the shark.
There's sharks like all over the place. That kept
There were just sharks all
It's
over.
like all the dead
Sharks
bodies.
flopping around the floor.
It's like all the dead bodies at the end when the marching band's going
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
sharks.
Yes.
Actually, the marching band was my favorite scene.
The marching band was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'll give it
I
that.
was
That's
tell
one
by
of the
the
worst
credits
Miley
that
Cyrus
were at the
songs,
end of
though.
the movie.
I started the film, and I actually kind of I thought it was an interesting premise. Like, the premise is, what if someone spills the information for everybody in the whole town?
Right.
What's going to happen? And I mean, that's a great idea.
I need a moment on that
they
later.
fumble it miserably. I mean, it's
Well,
like,
they're all
I don't know that they did.
well, they
they're
tried,
also-
but they just,
I think they did. And I'll tell you, Scott, to answer your question, which I didn't get a chance to answer.
yeah, sorry. Yelling, dude. You gotta.
Yeah, I just got to yell louder. When it jumped from, specific people being outed to the whole town and everybody put on masks and starting running around with
Which
guns.
made no sense, right?
Made no fucking sense.
No, not at all.
That would never happen.
No, it would never happen. The part that
But it
jumped for me
looks
was
really
actually I was
cool.
like going
Yeah,
along
it
with
looks
it's like,
cool.
this
So
is
it's
kind of an
like,
escalating paranoia story.
I think that's right, Jared and Jim. Yes, it looks really cool, and they thought, okay, that's going to look so cool that the audience will buy in, even though it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The director specifically said that this movie is about lack of empathy. It's not about the internet. It's not about leaking people's information. It's about lack of empathy. And this movie is very much about lack of empathy.
I think it succeeds. My understanding is that this movie was made, a lot of the write-ups were this is like the first post-Trump election.
Then that's one of the worst parts about this movie is it is so much we're doing the purge in Trump's America.
But I don't know, on the surface maybe, but I actually I was only half joking that one slide of the guy, he's like, I fucking hate the internet. Like on a certain level, I felt like this. I also sort of hate the internet at this point, but this movie was like a primal scream.
No, I love the internet
of a story. And sometimes it wants to be Heather's, and sometimes like it's sort of shooting in every direction all at once, and it doesn't always connect. But I appreciated this. I appreciated the level of bile.
Okay. You said the magic word.
I will give you that.
You said the magic word though, Chris, because on the poster this is described as Heather's cross American Psycho, and is not as good a satire as either one of those movies is.
I don't go watch Heather's again. I don't know that movie's aged particularly well.
Oh, it hasn't aged well, but it's still
it hasn't aged well. I just watched it.
I love that movie.
We have fond memories of it.
But I did find like the town turning on each other. Whether whether or not it's like picking up the mask thing from the Purge, which I think predated this by a year.
Purge does predate this, and there's something else that predates it, which I will get to in a moment.
I guess for both of these movies, I sort of appreciated the level of hostility that was inherent in both of them.
Well, this movie is hostile. This movie is hostile towards the existence of all of the the characters in it.
Yeah,
good or bad.
Protagonists.
Yeah,
and
this film does not love its lead meat characters at all. I think they're all horrible.
That worked for me. Yep. That worked for me.
Even if, although I found its curious lack of sort of a moral center. I don't care what the moral was going to be or the ethics, but I just wanted the person to like choose one and shoot the movie.
I don't know who we were supposed to root for.
No.
It doesn't have a POV.
Well, obviously you're supposed to root for the main character because she gets to narrate it.
Right.
So
it's an unreliable narrator.
She's not a great person either.
No, she's not a great person, but she's she's the person who keeps saying, yeah, I'm a bad person, but I'm not this bad. And I think that is supposed to be the moral of the story, is that all of us are bad.
Yes.
But some of us may be less bad than others.
Some of us are Joel McHale bad.
Oh, speaking of which, is it Joel McHale?
It's Joel McHale.
Talia, again, day player stuff. He came in, it was like, oh my God, Joel McHale is gonna be so much fun because he's having this affair and whatever. Then the whole thing happens. She runs in there and she he likes trying to take care of her, and he fucking turns on a dime to like a.
That was always his plan.
Maybe whatever. It didn't fit. It didn't work.
I actually think that's one of the things that works the best.
He didn't sell it, or I didn't buy it. Either way, I was like.
I disagree.
That's the part where I thought John would have tapped out when the razor blade came out. I'm like, John's definitely gonna turn this movie off.
No, I wasn't taking any of it seriously enough to be bothered by that.
Like I said, for me, I was willing to build up the whole idea about the conspiracy and the giving away the secrets, and the fact that the one guy who credibly could have done it, no one believed because he I didn't do it. I was like, okay,
and
whatever.
Then the shock.
Then the abduction happens in the middle. Then the part where they all end up on their back watching a movie with matching red coats on. At that point, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
We're setting up the finale.
The rest of this film, the filmmakers have given up trying to make us believe anything anymore. So let's see where this goes.
I kind of felt like it out of the gate. It was arch, and
it was. It didn't start. It was actually fairly straightforward when it started. I thought.
Yeah, this is kind of like the Don DeLillo novel.
The narration kind of gave it away for me.
Crazy narration that comes. That's in any film,
The one with the guy who teaches Hitler studies, and then it eventually evolves.
Americana.
No, it's White Noise.
Right.
This is like White Noise, where it just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Exactly.
As you go along.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of other nerd shit, I want to bring something up, which is in 2013, a comic came out called Private Eye. Right. And Private Eye is set in 2076. And in 2076, they are 10 years past the cloud bursting. All of everyone's cloud is available to the whole world. And the people in that future wear masks. If you're poor, you wear a physical mask that's like rubber or whatever. So when you're out on the street, nobody knows who you are. You're going about your business. There's not roving gangs of people murdering each other. Everyone's just living their lives, but wearing masks.
Right.
And if you're rich, you can afford to get this sort of like holographic projection mask so you can change it to be whatever you want. And then the interesting thing about it too is that people who are like my age are elderly in this society, and they're the last people who didn't have everything in the cloud. So they don't care. Like, yeah, oh, you leaked a picture of my dick, or like you leaked some girl I sent a text message to or whatever. But like my whole life wasn't in this universe. So they don't wear masks. And everyone thinks they're crazy.
Well, that's the viewpoint of Bella Thorne's character in this picture.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, if this guy didn't know about masks, then it's really coincidental. Because it's basically that plot, but make it violent.
Well, maybe this guy read that.
So you think it was a kind of a inspired by that, maybe?
Right, because that movie ends up. It's called Private Eye because the kid who's the main character.
You said graphic novel comic book?
Graphic novel, yeah. That kid who's the main character sort of becomes a PI, and like how you live in this world where you can uncover people's secrets when everyone's secrets are available is interesting. So I don't. It's a really good comic series. It only ran for 2 or 3 years, so there's not a lot to it. So if anybody wants to go out and read a comic, I would suggest Private Eye. Okay. Also, it's a better implementation of the story than this movie is.
Okay.
All right.
I'll also just chime in. I didn't think, I mean, for a movie, I mean, let's face it, like, it's hard not to figure how to talk about people constantly like on their cell phones all day long, texting and sending memes and whatever, because that's basically how people tend to live.
I think Jared did it better than this movie.
Yeah. Status update.
And that's just not just because I'm in it, but it does resemble it quite a bit.
I just sort of figured, like, well, you couldn't possibly tell a story like this with these characters without having a great deal of it happening on the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not particularly interesting.
No, but
this is one of my big problems with movies about young people in modern America is that is not a particularly interesting thing
about boring people.
Yeah. There's the thing about this film also is that if you did, except for the dialogue, the kind of R-rated dialogue, you could show this in the Disney Channel. There was, with all the writhing and twerking, there was no nudity whatsoever. It's weird.
Got about 20 minutes out of it.
I know. Well, that's like after Spring Breakers, that was kind of like, this seems artificially chaste in terms of how it's shot. You know what I mean?
Well, Spring Breakers is a hedonistic film. Like, this is not a hedonistic film.
Yeah, nobody's having fun.
Although a couple of the characters are very hedonistic.
No one is having fun in this.
No one is having fun in this movie.
Yeah. Okay, including us.
Including
the audience.
To some extent.
To some extent.
Yeah.
I think I might like this more than any of you guys, other than maybe Jared, because he picked it.
Right.
Jared's been super quiet.
I started
I'm just letting you guys talk.
Once I gave up on its premise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of my review, Jim.
Yeah.
Surrender to it.
It was my reaction to watching the new Doctor Strange movie last night. It was like, this is really fun to watch if you don't think about the plot.
Yeah,
but that's most Sam Raimi.
That's most movies these days.
Most Sam Raimi movies and most movies.
Yeah, once the girl showed up in the red raincoats, I was like, all right, no story, just let watching.
What's that, Jim?
Jim, sorry.
I think there are other movies that do a better job with the technology, with the the social media and everything. What was the one we saw? The guy from Oakland made. He was like
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother
Sorry to bother you.
Yeah, didn't that have some
A little bit,
Not too
not as
much.
as
a little
this, I
bit, but
don't
not
remember.
maybe it's just that it didn't have enough.
There's that other one that we watched recently, with it's the movie about the brother and the sister. I think that was one of Jared's picks, and he kills his girlfriend. And then it switches over to being her perspective.
Man, I don't remember this at all.
Oh, Waves.
Waves.
Waves,
Yes.
okay.
Right.
Waves does a much better job with it than this movie does.
Well, that
Is it social media?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
Waves
there's
is
that
Waves.
whole middle
Because
part.
Waves is not.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, I'll just wait and then I'll go.
Well, it's telling a serious story. This one is kind of like a revenge fantasy and kind of like it's a
Also, Personal Shopper does a great job with. There's a segment on a train with Kristen Stewart getting text messages,
Yeah,
which is superb.
I love that movie.
I like you sneaking in the Predator ad there, John.
I do.
Yeah, when we get some advertising dollars from
That's good.
movie,
Hopefully
that graphic novel of Tad's, product placement.
I don't like. I picked this movie because I do like this movie. I've seen it a bunch, and I agree with almost everything you guys are saying though too. Like this movie wants to be more profound than it is, but
Right.
But what I love about it is that I don't think, even though the acting is like, the performances are good, everybody's taking it very seriously in terms of what they're delivering.
They did buy into the bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But the
They
story
seem
itself, I
genuine.
mean, this is satire. So
It is. It's satire. It's exactly right.
so
I just don't think it's good satire.
Right. I think it fails.
no,
at
well,
it. Like, that's the problem.
I think that it taps into, because I sort of hate this generation personally, and I think that this movie understands that and hates them as well. And so it's fucking
Every generation hates the generation after it.
That's
Right.
right.
They really
Fuck
hate
those
kids.
kids.
They hate kids now, though. That's the thing. This is like a theme with movies these days.
But like, it's taking full on aim at that, and just, I think the way these people talk reads real to me in terms of how kids talk, and
Well,
just how
You know why that
shallow-
is, right?
What's that?
So he gave the script to all of the main.
Oh yeah, to
actors.
the actresses.
Oh,
Yeah,
did they
put in-
rewrite their dialogue?
And
Yes.
fix
they
the
helped,
dialogue.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh.
Either that helped
And-
or it hurt it. I'm not sure exactly which.
Right.
I
And
mean,
as
it
an
makes
answer
it
to,
makes it feel a little more realistic. Like
All right. Well, I was
the way
I
they're
was trying to
talking
look up-
feels real.
Yeah,
I
but
was trying
Yeah.
to look up the
it also made it sound a little bit loopy and flat. Too.
And it's kind of appalling.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and there's like a
Yeah, but if you made a movie about us and how we talk to each other, it would also be kind of appalling. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
we're all
No,
pretentious
we do it up every
douchebags,
week.
This is
There's
on
sort of
this is on YouTube every week, you
right?
guys.
And we're all pretentious douchebags.
Yeah.
I am sure the New Yorker's not listening in on this anytime soon.
There's a but there's a
More
grindhouse
of a
factor to this movie
scumbag.
that I like as well.
Well, that's also there. Yeah.
Especially towards the end.
Mhm.
And I was trying to find it, but the reason why they're in the red coats obviously is because they're watching like a Japanese movie that they love, and it's the girls in the red coat or something. I haven't found that movie yet, but
I think it was
try and
it
find it.
wasn't established at all. They just showed up in red coats because that's this kind of film that's
No,
it.
they don't
I
watch
hate
it,
the
but
internet,
they're
says the guy
Japanese.
who has "Bring It Haters" and "Come at Me, Bro" back.
Yeah, exactly. There he goes.
But
But,
no, but I think this movie is just, to me, this is a fun movie, and I have fun. It's for, like, I know it because
Where's
it's
the fun.
I like the
The cheerleader gets hit in the head with a baseball bat.
That's
That sounds
pretty
fun.
fun, except that again, it's all upside down and weird for the whole thing. And it's
But I actually
like,
think that
you're giving me a fucking
Those
headache,
wrestling
man.
bros getting shot at by the cheerleaders. was
I
kind of-
love
That's kinda
the
fun, too.
cinematography in this film. Actually, I
Yeah,
love
but then the
lighting.
bomb getting shot in the head through the wall is not fun at all.
Oh
Yeah.
God!
You know, the
no.
interesting
Yeah.
that wasn't fun.
The most interesting thing about this, and this,
Now we're talking about the best part of the movie again.
this is something
I
that they were
thought the
tracking.
suicide was
They were
fun.
tracking something in this.
Yeah, the
film.
suicide was pretty exciting.
Now,
Yeah.
what is a minor theme in this that I was kind of
Some
following
real
along
Bud
with?
Dwyer shit.
And it's kind of girls versus boys a little bit. This film is a lot about that. And near the end of the film, it's literally girls versus boys. Basically,
Yeah, it's a real girl power
I know,
moment.
but
James
it's an army
Thurber's
of
in it.
girls
I do-
and an
I
army
do
of boys
love-
and their girlfriends basically ready to go, and it just ends.
I do love that the
which felt like a 70s movie, almost like a freeze frame. Excuse me, Todd.
Exactly right. It was a nice idea, but I think they got afraid of it and dropped it.
I do love that the guy who hooked up with Bex realizes that this is fucked up and is like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with this shit. Fuck you.
Yeah, right.
Like he's the only person I think who actually has a moral core.
He's what you call an ally. He's an ally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe not even an ally, but at least a person who understands this is fucked up.
There's a great line.
Of course, when push came to shove, because he was there with his bros, ready to do the thing.
But you notice when he takes his mask off,
they were forcing
when
him.
you take his mask
he had
off,
a
his
blue
nose
black
is
eye.
broken and he's got a giant black eye.
They had
they
to beat him
beat
to
the
do
fuck
it.
out of him.
Yeah.
Make him do that.
There's this screenwriting thing where some of the characters that don't want to be in the movie will actually they'll tell you they want to leave the movie. That could be happening there too. It's like this could be a character saying, "I'm done."
they're breaking the fourth. Her whole narration is breaking the fourth wall all the time. And there's a line. There's a line.
Oh my god! All the lines about if this was a movie, if this was a movie, if this was a movie. Like
I know.
I wanted to fucking claw my eyes out.
You got your choice, man.
There's a line. There's a line when they're in the pool after the mayor guy kills himself at that conference.
The R. Bud Dwyer in front of everybody.
Well, Bex.
I just made an R. Bud Dwyer comment. I guess you didn't hear
it. Bex is the one, she's being completely heartless and she's like, fuck that guy. He was like a blah, blah, blah.
Oh, right.
And Lily actually says, listen,
empathy.
Yeah. She's like, you can disagree with someone and not like what they do and still have empathy and care about,
and Bex was like,
and Bex is like, fuck him. Yeah. And it's just like that.
Well, but Bex's point of view is also somebody who's been punished for being who she is.
Right.
Right. Like, that's like, I get it on a moral level. It's fucked up in both ways. Like, it's, her response to it is fucked up, but also the way the world treated her to the point that she got to that response is extra fucked up.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Also,
what's behind
this chick fucking shoots like 75 rounds out of that.
Well, what's behind? Okay, you want to know what's fun? You want to know what's fun? Look behind Chris. That was fun, dude, to watch that shit, man.
Yeah, and what's her name? What's her name needs to learn how to shoulder a shotgun because she's shooting it from down here. And
the gun work wasn't great in this. It was they got the props and they didn't know what to do with them, and
also I like this. Again, maybe it wasn't so.
I do love Joel McHale's whole layout of like his whole fucking arsenal.
And it was just another shark to me. It was like, why does he have that?
Because that's America, man.
And go shoot people.
Yeah, because it's not at all.
That's what fucking America is like. That's what,
and that's what Joel McHale's character is. That's why I was like, you're never like, I can't look at him almost the same after this movie because he is evil. He's like so fucking.
I thought it was a continuation of his character from Community.
Oh,
what's her name?
I don't know. I've seen his stand up, and his stand up has some pretty fucked up shit in it. Like not like you should be canceled shit, but definitely like, man, you really want your dad to die, huh? Like,
well,
I've been wanting to see this movie for a while. Jared brought it up.
I somehow never heard of this.
Yeah, I brought it up my friend.
You brought it up years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to see that.
Well, it was a midnight at Sundance, and it played the day after I went home, and I was, and like, I'd watched a bunch of movies at Sundance with my friend, and then I got my plane ride back, and the next day he texted me, the midnight movie last night was the best movie of the festival. And I was like, what the fuck was it? And he tells me this. And so I was waiting for it, and I went and saw it, in the theater. It had an abysmal theatrical run. It was like the worst performance at the box
this made
office.
$1 million in the theater.
Like, because
this movie cost $9 million.
It cost 7, I think.
Oh, 7.
They're expecting it to make 4.8, and it made $1
So it was a micro budget film, and it lost money, which is not easy to do.
No,
I wouldn't call 7 million micro, but
it's in Hollywood terms, it's micro.
But the reason, they didn't advertise it for hardly at all.
That's why I'm saying I've never heard of this before.
It was just it wasn't well done. But this writer director, who is I think Barry Levinson's son.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Nepos.
So he went on to he had huge success with he's the showrunner of Euphoria. He's the creator and writer.
That's right. There's apparently like some parallels between this and Euphoria.
Well, there's also he likes
based on the trailer I saw. Yes,
in Euphoria, I love, and I think it's a lot better than this, but it also has a real transgender main character in that show as well.
Okay, well, I guess we can do thumbs.
I appreciated it for what it was, and I kind of liked the rage in the writing. Whether or not it was 100% on target, I liked where it was coming from.
I just saw a lot of lost opportunities. I think it could have been so much better than it was.
I think it's summed up by the phrase "wasted potential."
Right.
Yeah. Well said.
Not the worst thing I've ever seen, but
not the worst thing I've ever seen either. It's in focus, and actually the camera works.
It's in focus.
It's in focus.
It's color and focus.
Fucking poster.
The sound was actually pretty good.
Great praise again.
We go back to it all the time. It's the GameSpot. It's the GameSpot rating for a video game.
Which
you get 1 star for putting it in a box and shipping it.
Oh, there you go.